Hey guys, this is Brent with Western Equipment, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to fully assemble the John Deere 15-gallon pull-type sprayer. Now, this is the sprayer that we're going to be using behind our zero-turn lawnmowers and our riding lawnmowers. So at the end of this video, I'll show you what this looks like hooked up to the back of one of our riding mowers, and also how to hook up the wiring harness from the sprayer to your mower. So if you'll stick with me here, we'll get started. Now, when you first get this sprayer and it comes in its box, these are going to be the components that you'll see in the box. You'll have your tank here that is already mounted to your trailer frame. Then we'll also have our boom assembly here that is going to have the axle zip tied to it, so don't miss that. That's not a weight, that will be the axle there that is zip tied to your boom assembly. Then you're also going to have the tongue assembly that's going to mount to the front here of our sprayer, and our 2 tire and wheel assemblies. Now, for all other parts and for the operator manual and the instructions, those are going to be located inside the tank. So make sure and open up this tank, and one thing when you're doing that is you'll notice there's a little paper tag here sticking out that says that if you're missing any parts, to make sure and call this number. This will be the number directly to the manufacturer, but you can also call the store or dealership that you got your sprayer from to get any of those missing parts. So once we get into the tank here, like we said, first thing, we will have our operator manual and instructions. We'll also have a bag of hardware here that's going to include our hitch plate for the tongue of our trailer. We'll have our switch wiring harness here. Lastly, we'll have our harness that goes from the battery to our switch harness. Before we start putting this thing together, let's go over a few of the tools that we're going to need to do this assembly. First, we have our ratchet here. We're going to need 2 different sizes sockets, a 1/2 inch and also a 9/16. And then also go ahead and get out your 9/16 and 1/2 inch wrenches to go with those. And then we're going to have locking collars that are going to mount on the outside of our tire and wheel assembly to hold them onto our axle. And for that, we're going to need a metric size 4 Allen wrench. That way we can tighten down the set screw on these locking collars. So to start this assembly, we're going to start by mounting our tongue assembly to our sprayer and mainframe here. So to do that, we'll just go ahead and flip this guy over. And then next, we're going to take 2 of our hex-headed bolts here. Now we'll slide this tongue assembly over the top, and then start in 2 of our bolts here. And then we'll grab 2 more of those and start those in. Then we'll go ahead and grab a couple, 4 of our nuts here. And once we've got those good and tight, the next thing that we'll do is install our hitch plate here. So we have our hitch plate that will look like this with our 2 small holes and our large hole here for the pin. And then we've got our 2 smaller holes here at the front of the tongue. So we'll go ahead and take 2 of those bolts again and go in with those. And then start our nuts here on the back side. Once we've got that done, we'll go ahead and install our wheels and tires while we've got this thing flipped upside down here. First off, we'll take our axle here, and we've got our 2 larger holes here at the back, more towards the center of the frame of the tank here. We'll go ahead and run that through, get that as even as we can on both sides there. Here, what you're going to need is 2 of your spacers and your 2 flat washers, and then also your 2 locking collars here. So to start with those, we need to make sure that when we're going on with our wheel assembly that our valve stem here is facing out. Now these are going to be pneumatic tires that you are going to want to fill to 30 psi, so make sure and do that before you fill this tank up, because once you fill this up with the weight of that, you are going to want to make sure to have the correct pressure in these tires. Now when we're going on with our wheel and tire assemblies, we're going to start here by going on with a spacer. And then next going on with a flat washer. And then like we said, we'll go with the side with our greaser towards the frame here of the sprayer. Get that on, and then make sure that we have just enough space there to go on with our locking collar. Then once we have that on, we can tighten down our set screw. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side here. It's again going on with that spacer, then on with our flat washer, and then on with our wheel and tire assembly there. Locking collar here. Okay, so first thing we need to do is we'll notice that whenever our boom comes, both of these are angled in, which is obviously not going to be wide enough to meet our two holes here at the back of our sprayer, and also this would put the boom right on top. So what we need to do is loosen these top nuts so we can turn those just a bit. So once we get those loose there, then we can turn them outward to get that boom out away. Next here we'll go on with our first set of nuts here and run them most of the way up on each one of our brackets here. And we'll go ahead and set that down in the frame there, and also down in the frame here. Now once we have that done, we can go ahead and tighten back up our top nuts here to hold those in place. And then next we're going to take our L brackets here, make sure and face them down, and then we're also, when we put these on, we're going to want to have them facing as far out towards the back of the sprayer as possible. So in this slot we'll have them closest to the back here. So go ahead and go on with that, and then go on the underside with another one of our nuts here. Make sure that we're tight here at the top. And last thing we need to do to get this all installed is go on with our hose from the pump to our boom, just going down onto this barb fitting here, making sure and running it all the way down as far as we can to make sure that we have a good connection. So now that we've got the whole thing assembled, the last step here, guys, is going to be pinning it to our machine. Very simple. Like we said, this is just that clevis style hitch. So we'll just run that on top. Take our pin here, drop it down through the frame and the tongue, and then pinning it. And then once you've got it pinned up, the only other step that you've got now is running your wiring harness. Now, this part is going to be a little bit up to you. You are going to have this switch harness here. The main thing that you need to keep in mind is that you do have a shorter end and then a very much longer end, and this longer end is going to need to make sure and go towards the front of the tractor, as this is what's going to hook to your connection at the battery. So when we're installing this here, we'll find our end here on the pump, we'll hook those together. Once those are connected, now you can choose whether you want it on your left hand side or your right hand side, whichever way you're going to run it. And then you'll also have a couple of these wire holding clips here that you can choose where to stick these on the machine depending on which side you're going to run that harness. And then once we run that up one side or the other, so say we go over here on the left hand side, we can put one of those wire clips to hold that in place, making sure that we're giving just enough wiggle here for whenever we're turning this, that we're not going to pull that out. And then next we'll go and install the part to our battery. Now, installing this harness to our battery, very, very simple. We're just going to be removing our protective caps, and we're going to go ahead and remove our negative battery cable nut here, and then our positive, and then we'll connect this harness red to red, black to black, and then we'll run this plug either to the right hand or left hand side, depending on which side we're going to run our main harness, up to the front. And then from there you have constant power to that sprayer to where you can just flip that switch
to turn it on and off.
All right, guys, so that is all it takes to assemble and install the 15-gallon tow-behind sprayer for your John Deere lawn tractors. So, guys, just a very great option. You know, if you have those large areas or you have those spraying needs and you have one of these lawn tractors, you know, or a zero-turn mower, anything that we can hook this to the back of, this 15-gallon sprayer is going to be an excellent option for you. It's part number LP19478. And if you feel like this is something that you need today, I'm going to leave a link in the description below where you can get that, so you can pick one of those up. Guys, also, I hope this video helped you out, and if it did, we just ask that you'd hit that like button and give us a subscribe, as that helps us out as well. And also, guys, we're going to be one of the best places online for you to buy your John Deere parts. So while you're in that link looking at this sprayer, make sure to check out all those other parts that we have for your John Deere equipment. And as always, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Hey guys, make sure to go buy your parts right here and subscribe right here.